Epic drop.
What's up, everybody? This is your boy Dynamite, and this is here Mickey with me today. What we're gonna do is very simple. We're gonna do a very quick review and impression on Alan Wake 2. It's been a while that it's been out. We've been playing it very slowly, and I want to know how the game is, the impression from someone that actually played the original, because I did not. Full disclosure, I didn't play the original. So, Mickey, what's your overall impression, without any spoilers, your overall impression of the game?
I really enjoyed this game. As someone who did play the first game, there was definitely some big improvements that happened with Alan Wake 2. The wait, it was well worth the wait. Of course, there were some downsides as well, like that we'll definitely get into, but overall, I really had a good time enjoying this game. I didn't want it to end.
The first game compared to the second game, from what I know and from what I've seen, there was a big departure from the first one to the second one, right? The first one was a little bit more action oriented, maybe a little bit more adventure actiony, and the second one is definitely an horror, if I would say a psychological horror, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And how do you think the transition? Did you think that the storytelling actually handled it right, or did you thought that it was like jarring?
I thought it was kind of refreshing, to be honest, because I'm kind of happy that we got some new characters. So we weren't just following Alan Wake, trying to come out of the abyss. It's so I found that good. I liked the kind of tag team between Saga and Alan Wake. I thought that was really neat the way they kind of like merged those two stories together.
And if I understand correctly, you the second time that we go in the game as Saga and as Alan Wake, we are rethreading basically tracks that Alan Wake went on in the first game. Do you feel like there is a huge tone shift in, like, let's say the town and the townspeople?
Not huge because the town was already weird in the first one. So the second one definitely kind of melted on that or kind of like built upon that Twin Peaks vibe. So you kind of got that the characters were weird, the town is weird, and there's this underlying tone of something is definitely going on here.
A little bit
Everyone's
of
kind of messed up.
a little Stephen King in there.
Yeah. Stephen King. Yeah, definitely like throwbacks to that kind of like genre. So, where the cast is just bizarre. And
Okay.
then you're trying to figure out why everyone is so bizarre. And then you kind of think, is it me or is it them? It's them.
And what about the gameplay? Did you feel that the gameplay was a sidestep, like kind of like, or did you think that it was actually a huge leap forward, or did you think that it was actually a step back?
Yeah, no, I definitely think the game built upon the kind of building blocks that Alan Wake one had, and they elevated it a bit. Now, of course, there were some issues with the gameplay as well, but I did like how they tried to incorporate some different things in there. So, I mean, Sega had her case studies that she had to do, like her investigation board. Alan Wake also had his writer's room as well, where he could kind of like bounce back and forth and kind of switch up the story, which I thought was really neat the way they did that. I thought that was pretty masterfully done. So yeah, I did like the different elements of the gameplay. I thought that was really interesting. But then again, like there were some, there were a few little drawbacks there that can also be said. But in the first one too, there was also some drawbacks there as well. Like it wasn't the most seamless gameplay. It was a little bit clunky.
Overall, without giving anything away, what do you think about the storytelling? More than the story itself, but the storytelling.
I thought the storytelling was really good. I really liked how they, like I said, like they merged the characters together, and you could kind of switch back and forth to get the dynamic between the two different characters, and then how they kind of come together and how they're actually interconnected in this weird world. And I thought like the adjoining characters were really cool too. Now, in the first one, they did have Barry. So, Barry's kind of like a big character in the first one. So I found that in this, and he was kind of the levity. He would offer like the humor and that kind of lightheartedness, and like in those weird tense situations, which I found this one was lacking a little bit. Like they didn't really have that humoristic element, but I kind of understand why too, because this one was way darker, way more layered than the first one.
And speaking of the layers, do you think that they went too far, or did you think that it was the proper mix of everything that was at hand, or do you think that they went like they just threw in everything and the kitchen sink at it?
You know what? I don't mind when you throw in everything in the kitchen sink sometimes. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's a welcome change. So
A good little smorgasbord.
yeah,
Never hurt
exactly.
anyone.
Like exactly. Like keep me engaged, keep me, kind of like on my toes a bit. So yeah, I didn't mind that to be honest.
You talk about a couple of drawbacks. What are they?
I think at the beginning I really enjoyed like Saiga's kind of case investigation board, but then you kind of realize that it's not very challenging. You know what I mean? Like there's no consequences to if you put the wrong um clue up at the right time. It's just her being like, or like, like, and then you get to try again. So I just wish that that had a little more, like either diversity or a little bit more of a challenge to it, or there's some consequences if you didn't put together the clues correctly. But I thought, it was for a concept, it was, I like that they tried something different. Um, Also sometimes too, like I guess some people could say like the gameplay could have been a little bit repetitive in the sense of you do a lot of walking around and you do a lot of walking around through the same areas. There's some places that you do have to revisit. Now I am someone who loves walking around in video games and collecting stuff for sure, but I can see how that could be a drawback for some people where they might be like, there's not enough action for me. There's too much dinking around and walking around.
So, what's your overall, basically review of the game, or can I say like impression of the game? Is this something that you would highly recommend to, let's say, the masses, people that don't play, maybe wait for a deal? Where would you put it?
Look, I really, really enjoyed this game. If you're someone who's played the first one, definitely recommend. If you're someone that likes survival horror games that wants to play something different and you didn't play the first one, definitely recommend because like the art direction is really good. The visuals are amazing. Like everyone looks super good the way that they did the motion capture for the characters. The audio design, beautiful.
I agree.
So, if you're someone that kind of enjoys those aspects of video games, then yes, I would definitely recommend it. And for you, for someone that's never played the first one and you played it, how do you feel about that? Like, what was your opinion of it?
Me, I gotta say, just and to make it clear, this is one of the best years for video games that we had in a while. And for me to say that this game is sitting at, probably close to the top of my list, it's, I would say, an excellent game.
Yep. Yeah, me too. I definitely would highly recommend it to specific, like a certain audience, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, it's not going to be for everyone. It's not, if you like action 24/7 and like that's all you want to do is be shooting people and, you
Although
know,
there is quite some shooting to do, but KYC, it's no, it's kind of like a know your client kind of thing, right? There's
yeah,
some people for whom it's just not gonna speak to, and some people like me that may be surprised because I don't really, horror games are not my favorite. But recently, the horror games that we've got with Dead Space and Resident Evil and now Alan Wake, mwah, I of course I'm gonna play those. So that's gonna be it for us. Myself, Dynamite here, Mickey. Thank you very much for joining us today.
thank
And
you so much.
we're gonna have a spoiler talk that we're gonna be able to drop very soon. So stay tuned for that one. Yeah, stay tuned. People say that. Stay tuned. As always, we thank you very much and have yourself a good one. Catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Uno.